Now that we've talked about the difficulties and the negative effects that dams have on our environmental systems, we should talk about alternatives for energy and ways we can get that. Now, there are difficulties with alternatives. It's not all fun and games, and I want to discuss some of those first. Some of the difficulties that we run into with alternate fuel sources are with solar energy. Right now, with our technology that we have, it's actually very inefficient and expensive to store it, so we have to use it immediately, which that presents a problem running into using it at night when the sun's not out. Another difficulty that we run into is if we try and do something like converting corn to ethanol for fuel. It actually takes more energy to convert it than is actually contained in the ethanol itself. So we're losing energy by trying to do that. Another problem that we run into is the oil fields in the Midwest of the United States, North Dakota, South Dakota, that area, are said to contain 800 billion barrels of oil. Well, that's enough oil to run the United States for the next 100 years. The only problem with that is these oil fields are in a place that are noted for its lack of water, and to extract a single barrel of oil, it actually takes several barrels of water. So that gets to be very expensive when we are trying to extract that oil. However, one thing about alternate fuel sources that has been said before is the difficult can be done at once, the impossible takes a little longer. I like this because it means that the impossible can still be done. And we're always going to run into difficult things with any fuel source that we try, so we have to find the one with the least cons and the most pros in it. Pursue that one. So these are some solutions to the difficulties that we found. First, for solar power, Massachusetts Institute of Technology is actually working on a new process for solar power. Their process is basically that they take the sun's energy and use that energy to break apart water into the hydrogen and oxygen gases. They then take that, recombine them in a fuel cell where they're stored, and that way you have energy for any time you need it, not just when the sun is out. This also decreases the amount of carbon emissions that this fuel gives off, making it cleaner energy for the environment. MIT's new process is actually being funded by the National Science Foundation and the Chersonese Family Foundation. So they're working on that, and that should be done within a few years, and it's going to be much less expensive than actual solar energy that we have now. One thing that I found in my research is that the Utility Solar Assessment Study has outlined strategies that utility companies, solar power companies, and regulators should use to reach their goal of providing 10% of the total domestic energy supply from solar sources by 2025. So in the next 12 years, they have a goal of providing 10% of all of our energy through solar power. Another thing that presents itself is wind power. Wind power is much more cost effective, and they're a lot cheaper to build, save on capital costs, and they don't do as much damage to the environment. Studies have actually shown that people enjoy the aesthetic effect of the windmills on the landscape. And like I said, it's much safer and cleaner for the environment.